lady?
Well, Jackson, I feel bad because, well, I had asked you, should I turn the video? Hold on. All right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do this thing on the writings of Abraham.
Yes, that's a good text.
So that's what I was going to talk about, but I'm not totally prepared, right? But I have a few things I could share. And I'm going to put it in the chat. Has anybody ever, all right, let me see if I can figure this out for a second. Has anybody ever read this?
Tell them what it is.
Okay, the writings of Abraham, all right, Jackson, you tell me if I'm correct, is just a text.
Yeah.
Here. All right, let me screen share something here.
I think that it's a Nazarene text like you do.
I think so. All right, so here it is. I found it on this website. Can you guys see that? Called Earth's Ancient History. And it's the only place I ever saw it. Then I found it tonight on another website here. This one, The Writings of Abraham. We should pray for you, Jackson. I'm hearing you cough. Oh, dear. But The Writings of Abraham, from the papyri found in Egypt, 1831, and translated by John Bryant. Now, that's all I have ever found. I mean, I have no idea who John Bryant is. There's no information. Do you have anything? I mean,
let's find out. It could be spurious. I never looked at the provenance of it, but I read it. And a lot of people are actually reading. I shouldn't say a lot of people, but people have found that and have read it. I've seen comments on it, and I'm trying to go through it and clean it up a little bit. His name's John Bryant.
Yeah, okay, so this side gives me, now I did find one, I didn't have time to look for it. One, I couldn't find anything on John Bryant. I mean, and there's a lot of papyri that were found, you know, that, okay, so this is different from the Book of Mormon. I mean, the Book of Abraham. Okay, and I got to say that right up front. There is what's called the Book of Abraham, which is a Mormon text which Joseph Smith found and bought, quote unquote, from papyri from Egypt, right? But this has nothing to do with that.
Well, let's hope not, because, of course, when they could finally read that papyrus, they found that what was on it had nothing to do with what Joseph Smith translated it as. Right.
So all I can surmise, all right, there's one other thing I found online about it. It is a guy who, and you found it too, I found it because I sent you this text one time, who says that he wrote it. He, like, I don't want to say he channeled it, and I don't want to say he translated it. He restored it. I don't know how. I mean, we have stories of Ezra writing texts again, being downloaded, you know, downloads by the Holy Spirit. I have no idea what to make of it. But I consider this to be one of the most accurate and beautiful, and has so much information and connects so many dots. I don't see how it could not be. I just find it so accurate in so many ways. So I have reread it after not having read it for about 2 years. And I just find it so interesting. And there's a lot of information here now, kind of more Essene, okay? So it seems to be, like you said, a very Essene text. It talks about so one of the reasons I'm intrigued by it is Ted Nottingham did a YouTube on the Essenes, right? And I think I put it on the Very Yahad Facebook page, and it's the best I've ever seen of have anybody done on the Essenes. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just, but he mentions in there, he kind of talks, he seems to have a lot of information about them that I've never kind of seen other places. But he talks about them being a very ancient order, like a very, you know, like we always think Essenes kind of, we can go back 200 BC maybe, you know, most scholars or people will write, but he kind of has this spin on it where it is really ancient.
Pliny says that they've been in existence for thousands of generations.
yes, and even thousands a year. So he kind of has this spin on it that they, but when you read this text of the writings of Abraham, I could sort of see where he gets that kind of concept. And from this text, to me, it really makes a clear, okay, so let me just start. I want to read the opening paragraph here. So what I was going to say, I was going to go more into this on Friday night, and I would be ready, and I would like to pull out some key verses that I think. So I was going to put it in the link, and if people wanted to start to read it, it's not like that long per se.
Right.
Chapters are very short.
Well, look for historical markers if there are any. That
Oh my God, this would explain Akhenaten, how you had this kind of righteous king in Egypt. It goes all the way, it gives you all the relationships between Noah, Shem, and Abraham. It makes, to me, you can fit Akhenaten in there because it has a lot of information of how when Abraham went down to Egypt. It has a lot of information about the ancients and the order of Melchizedek. It has a lot of information about this priesthood, and we're not talking Levitical. That is the Melchizedek priesthood. There is, and of course, and to me, there's a ton of information about the two seed lines. And there's also a lot of information about how, because, okay, I believe in the serpent seed. I know we don't. And I found out another thing we don't agree on, Jackson.
well, I'm sure there's lots of things.
I saw another post that you don't, in the Noahide laws, okay?
No,
the whole kind of covenant with Noahide. Plus, it explains a lot of the pseudographical or the apocryphal information we get from all these texts, and it'll give you like almost like an explanation. So anyways, I just want to start here with this little prologue. So it's a papyri found in 1831, whatever. This text begins with a prologue originally numbered as chapter 1, and it starts, "Behold, my son, I have caused to come into thy hands a fragment of the writings of Abraham, in which he hath left a record of his sojourn among men, and of the blessings of the Lord unto him. This I have brought to thee, that thou might restore that which is lost, that the fullness of the record in its original purity might be found again among the sons of God," or sons of Yahweh. So just let me say, if you were to rewrite it, you would put the true names in there.
I would do that, and I would get rid of the archaic language.
Yeah, okay, so we'll try. "So behold, these things are sacred. Wherefore, send them not forth unto the children of men, but let them be for the edification of the elect, that your hearts may be turned unto the fathers, and you might draw close to them, and they to you. Thus will the veil be withdrawn, and you will commune with the general assembly and church of the firstborn, and shall even be ushered back into my presence. Go to now and do this work which I have placed in thine hands." Amen. But it's just so interesting, the language here where you have the church of the firstborn, the general assembly, and the church of the firstborn. You have the texts that are sacred, that are not for the profane, they're only for the elect. I mean, these are a lot of Essene concepts. There's a lot of Essene concepts in here. So I'm going to just touch really quick on like 5 things that I just thought. So it starts out with Abraham, who was born the son of Terah, who we know, this prime minister to Nimrod, we know that, right? And reigned in Ur of the Chaldeans. Nimrod, we know, was a wicked man and idolater. And then it goes on to say, now this is to me very interesting, Jackson, because I follow this thing, but it says, "Moreover, Nimrod was a man of mighty power, for he was master Mahan, and had in his hands the secrets of the ancients, as they had come down from Cain, wherein he knew the words of power and the signs for using them, and he had the holy garments which had been given unto Adam in the garden, in which was great power." Now the garments is all over the Apocrypha, whatever they are, right? Seriously. But this idea of that Cain, see, the master Mahan, to me, there's too much connection between, a master mason, this whole secret society. These people have information that goes back to Cain. I mean, this is in a lot of the literature. This is in their literature, that they have writings, that there's the secrets of the ancients. so you have from Cain, and then from the Watchers, that there's and that they have signs, they have you know, signals, they have ways of communication between themselves. So I think that's really sort of very interesting there. And it says, all of this power did Nimrod use to get gain after the manner of the secret combination. Now, anybody who really studies into the whole Nimrod definitely, in my opinion, changed his genetics. He had some kind of, what do they call it, enhanced genetics. He gave himself superpowers. He was sort of, I mean, the writings say 2/3 angelic, and 1/3 man. I mean, he did something. His father, we know Cush gave him the garments. So there's a lot of apocryphal understanding in this, but so it says, but God frustrated the plans of Nimrod by confounding the language of him and his people, that they could no longer remember the sacred words, and they scattered forth over the face of the earth. And again, like that's sort of the Tower of Babel, that if they all spoke Hebrew, and then there was a commonality, and I don't think it's just in Hebrew. They had a commonality of understanding the symbols, understanding some of the deeper esoteric understandings from Enoch. Okay. Okay. Let me just say it. Okay, and through the ministration of Satan, he did receive again some of the words of power, and did reorganize the secret combination among his people. But he had not power as at the first, for the fullness of the pure language was not restored to him according to the degree of the Most High God. Now that's to me, that's very biblical. That's kind of what happened, what we know. But this concept of the secret combination pops up over and over, like enhanced genetics. I don't know what you...
Over and over in the Book of Mormon, every place, secret combinations.
Well, this is the only other place that they use Master Mahon, I will tell you that, yes, is in this book of, is in the Book of Mormon. Okay? But but the concept of Cain having, with the fallen angels, having access to power, to dominion, having realms, having access to other realms. I mean, this is in there. This is in the writings of the nations, and this is in a lot of the apocryphas. And this, now it says Peleg was the son of Eber, Peleg was the son of Eber, who was the son of Eber, who was the son of Salah, who was the son of Arxapad, and the son of Shem, who was Melchizedek, which by interpretation is king priest, for he was a king and a priest of the Most High Elohim. Then it gets into Noah, who was the son of Lamech, the son of Methuselah. So they've got all of that. Of Enoch, who was taken up with his city, that he might minister unto those in the flesh who sought a higher law than was available to them on earth. Then it goes into the birth of Noah, which very much follows in Enoch, in the fragment of Noah, that you know, the kid was born with hair that was all white, and you know, his skin glowed and all this kind of stuff. So that's pretty much but Lamech, thou favored one of God, who according to the promise of the father of Yahweh Elohim to the father Enoch, thou hast been chosen to be father to him, through whom the seed of the gods will be preserved through the great flood, which the gods will send upon the earth in judgment. Now this is something, okay, Jackson, I know it sounds kind of weird, but I've been studying a lot on this concept of a couple of these words, panta and stoichion in Greek, because we know that there's a hierarchy, there's a pantheon, there is a great assembly, it says. I mean, there are gods, small g, right? I mean, that shouldn't be any shock. So it says that for the sons of men have gone astray through the corruptions of those angels who fell from among the gods and mingled their seed with the daughters of men and begat sons of great strength and mighty wickedness. I mean, that's Genesis 6. That's nothing. And they cause all flesh to corrupt their way before the Lord, wherefore they shall be destroyed. Save thy son, who shall be the seed of the angels. Now, you know, we could talk about that a little bit more, whatever. Then the mother of Noah was the daughter of Methuselah. Goes into that when Noah was born, his body was full of light. This is very much out of the fragment of Noah. When the child stood upon his feet, when he had come forth from the room, his tongue was already loosed, and he sang praises. So they were really wondering who this kid was. Then it goes on to talks about the flood. The earth will be destroyed according to the word of Yahweh. So then it goes into, so at his birth, the room was full of light, so that we could not look upon him, and we could look upon him. I mean, that's in other writings, all of that. Hearing these words, and even the fact that Lamech went to his father, Methuselah, who went to Enoch to ask about Noah. I mean, that's all in other writings. And that here's Methuselah traveled to the top of the highest mountain where he could speak unto his father Enoch. That's in other writings. But he was assured that Noah was indeed going to be okay. Then it says that after he was circumcised on the 8th day, he was covered, that he became as other men, except that his hair remained white, and they called his name Noah, which by interpretation is comfort. So we know that. But that would make sense to me. I guess I have this whole esoteric understanding of all this stuff that's coming, that, because you know this, I'm trying to really understand these other, they're all of these other sons of God, and where they are and how they interface, and there does seem to be, they incarnate. Noah incarnated. He was an extremely highly developed soul. He wasn't just anybody. He was a very highly, and when he incarnated, he was quite the stir. But he did settle down. It says that on the 8th day the child was circumcised, he covered and became as other children, I guess, and he looked fairly normal. And he grew and waxed strong in wisdom in the mighty power of the priesthood, for he was initiated into the order of the ancients in his child, and learned the rites and ordinances and the powers of the priesthood, with the signs and tokens and key words wherewith he could call upon the powers of heaven to combat the forces of the adversary. Okay, so let me just stop there. So do you think that's too over the top?
No, but it really does. It sounds like the testament out of the Book of Mormon to in a great degree, but no, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, okay, I have had other people say, and I know everybody's a little right and a little wrong, but a lot of people who study some of the Mormon, they're very advanced in a lot of their thinking. They're way more advanced in some things than a lot of evangelicals who don't even want to talk about other spiritual realities, you know.
They have a lot in common with Scientology, I think.
Well, I've never studied Scientology, so I have no idea.
Well, but their thought is that there's spaceships and planets, and men and their wives are going to go populate planets, and that God is in the body. He's not a spirit.
But that doesn't have anything to do with Mormons or this. That's not, I don't see that in any of it.
I haven't seen any of that in here.
No. But what I'm saying is it's very Essene. They had, I mean, this is very Essene to me. There are rites, there's ordinance, there's secret.
There's another one called the Testament of Abraham. It's very similar. Yeah. Yes,
I've read that too. So, I mean, I don't think that there's anything, see, all right, because what I want to get to, one of my points is 13, we're not even close to it. But in the next, all right, so you have this, the order of the ancients. My understanding is from this, ancients refers to the pre-Diluvian patriarchs, like Enoch and Adam and Shem and Lamech. And then the fathers would refer more to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. That there is a distinction between the quote unquote the ancients and then the fathers. But then it talks about how in the next generation, see, and this gets into this thing, this is in all the literature, the book of Adam and Eve. You're familiar with all the literature of, the books of Adam and Eve and all that literature. It talks about how in the generation of Lamech, the righteous remnant, quote unquote, came off the mountain. They came down and started commingling with the sons of men. So it says here in verse 3, in the next generation they corrupted themselves, for the daughters of Noah's son did go forth and lay with the sons of men, which thing was an abomination in the eyes of Yahweh. Wherefore the Lord said to Noah, behold, the daughters of thy sons have sold themselves, and my anger is kindled against the sons of men. Now this is my question too, when I've been thinking about this for a long time, trying to figure out. Adam is called Ha-Adam, Ha-Adam in the Hebrew. And but is there sons of men? Are they different seed line or race of people than the Adamites? Because in this, there is a definite difference here between the sons of Adam and the sons of men.
Yes, Adam probably, understand that Adam probably had a spiritual or supernatural body. He wasn't out of body, but the sons of man, as described primarily in the book of Enoch, gives you a full, round, ancient idea of what that means. It is a person that's based in humanity, but a greater glorified humanity that's able to have intercourse with, I don't mean sexual, I mean speaking with Elohim and the angels and rebuking the false angels and dying for humanity if need be. So that the description there to me is probably exactly what Adam was. When it speaks of the sons of man, or the Benim Adam, the other one is the sons of Elohim. That's...
Wait a minute. I'm getting confused. Let's just stick to. So what my question is, the sons of Adam were Adamite. Okay, so the elf, the first letter, the ox, because in a lot of the pseudegraph, the ox head is the race of the sons of Elohim, the Adamites. Okay.
No, I think that the sons of Elohim, those are supernatural beings entirely, like Malachim. You know, one thing about the son. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know. Okay. So, but we got Adam, boots on the ground, Adam on the sixth day.
Yeah. Yes, he's different than the other humans in that he's got undoubtedly a spiritual or glorified body. He's exuding light. He's a son of light. He's the first of them. And the sons of Elohim, that's something else. Those are divinity. These are those ones that are spoken of in the Dead Sea Scrolls as divine beings or godlike beings.
Oh, okay. I'm not talking about angels. All right. So I'm talking about, okay, so if there's sons, the Adam of the sixth day is the progenitor of our race, I would admit, of Adamites.
Some race, yes. Whether
right.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, who else is he going to have? Adam's going to have Adamite. That's the Ha-Adam.
I think, look, it has to do, too, with today election. If, you know, some of your family will never get this, but you are obviously among the elect. You got something genetically or through morphic fields that comes directly from the Adamic race, and that's a good thing. See, Adam started out as a spiritual being that was able to live in the ground and live in the sky. And he goes to being a flesh being that's going to die, and he leaves behind him the capacity or propensity for those of us who get something of his to come back to the sky man.
Okay, yes, but Jackson, I just wanted to say that. Okay, yes, so those are all the sons of Adam, sons of Adam, okay? Because it's very clear in other places. But a son of man, okay, so Eve is called the mother of all living. See, this is why, okay, we don't have to go there in all the seed line thing. I think that there is a distinction between the sons of Adam and the sons of men. Men are a different.
Yes, they're called Benim Enosh.
Yes. Okay. So we're talking about two different races of beings.
Yeah.
Okay, that are very similar. Okay. Fine. All right. One is the sons of God that would be the sons of Adam, the Adamites. Let me put it this way: the top of the food chain are the Adamites, and then the sons of men, and then we come down. Okay, so to speak. But I just wanted to
a little lower than the angels. So I would say.
Well, they fell to be lower than the angels, but we don't have to get into all.
All right.
Okay, but I wanted to just get to 14. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to bow out then for a little bit. I want to hear what you have to say, not what I do.
No, no, keep talking. But are you all right? I mean, you're not.
I've already called 911, so they should be. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
All right.
I
So,
appreciate
anyways, we're going to go into this has been a very interesting. This was a big find, all right, in my opinion. Now, I know you don't believe in serpent seed. I 100% do. Well, whatever. Okay, we agree to disagree. So, in chapter 11, it starts to talk about Noah had taken a wife of the seed of Cain. So, we have all through the literature. I see a very big distinction. Seed always is offspring. There's the seed of Cain, and there's the seed of Adam, and they always have different genealogies. And she was a righteous woman, because a lot of people would ask, how did the seed line get through the flood if he destroyed all flesh and he saved 8 quote unquote righteous souls? So it says Noah had taken a wife of the seed of Cain, and she was a righteous woman. Nevertheless, the curse remained with her seed according to the word of Yahweh. So in other words, there was a curse on the seed of the serpent. And this is, to me, very clearly saying this. But this gets interesting because it says, and Noah took her on this wise, or for this reason, because the word of the Lord came to Noah, saying, take unto thyself Naamah, the daughter of Lamech, who dwelleth here in the city of thy fathers, for she hath been faithful to my gospel, wherefore I shall preserve through her the seed of Cain through the flood. But this is where the genealogies get really crazy, because the seed line of Cain and the seed line of Adam in the beginning have their names are almost identical. They're so close. So it says this Lamech, this is not the righteous Lamech. And it goes on to say, this Lamech, who was the father of Naamah, who in Naamah was the one that God, Yahweh, told Noah to marry, who was of the seed of Cain, being the son of Methuselah. That's not Methuselah. The son of Mahahel, the son of Aaron, the son of Enoch, the son of Cain. So there is the genealogy of, and this is Noah's third wife, but this turns out to be, I'll keep reading. Lamech had married Ada and Zillah, the daughters of Canaan, the son of Enos, the son of Seth, the son of Adam. So, and Ada bare children unto Lamech, but Zillah was barren until her old age, when the Lord opened her womb, and she conceived and bare a son and a daughter. So you have a righteous Lamech and the seed of Cain Lamech. So it gets a little bit confusing here. But her son that was Tubal Cain, and then her daughter was named Naamah. And it says, while Naamah was yet a child, great consternation fell upon the seed of Cain, for Irad, the son of Enoch, the son of Cain, had become a member of the secret combination and was privy to all the secrets, until one night when the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Irad, thou hast done evil instead of good, and hast followed after Satan rather than Yahweh. Wherefore I will destroy thee and thine house when I send in the floods upon the earth. So again, there's a very clear distinction in the bloodlines, and yet everyone has choice. Because I just was reading this other blog, somebody who's tracking this whole kind of bloodline thing, and they were making the point, and it could sort of be possible that Cain and Abel were twins, but they were both of the seed of the serpent and Eve, because it only says when you get to Seth that Seth was born in the image of Adam. It doesn't say that about Abel, but that's another diversion. But it said, but so anyways, Aaron was pricked in his heart, and he repented of, kind of joining the evil side of his evil seed people group, so to speak. He repented of the evils he had done, and he found mercy with the Lord, and he joined with the seed of Seth. And because he repented, the Lord said to him, I will have mercy upon thee, and I will join thy seed unto the seed of Seth, that may be preserved through the great flood. So Irad went forth and began to reveal the secrets of the sons of Cain unto the sons of Seth. And Lamech, this is the Lamech of the seed of Cain, being a master Mahan at the time, found Irad sitting in the garden with Joram, the young son of Irad, and slew him. And this is really all the behavior, again, that, and especially to me, when you read the book of Adam and Eve, the books of Adam and Eve and all that, the behavior of the Canaanites versus the behavior of the righteous seed, it's always the same. You shall know them by their fruit. But anyways, but Tubal-Cain, the son of Lamech, had followed him and viewed his evil deed, which he had committed, and he revealed it unto his mother Zillah, and she unto her sister Ada. And basically they confronted Lamech with his evil for killing Irad. And the wives of Lamech, Ada and Zillah, basically said they were not going to hang with him anymore. That Lamech's wives therefore feared to confront him further, but Lamech did not repent of his evil deeds. And it says, finding his son Tubal-Cain at prayer, he slew him also for having revealed that he murdered Irad. And before that, so it says, Ada and Zillah, the wives of Lamech, learned of this. They took their remaining sons and daughters and went unto their father Canaan's city and revealed the remainder of the secrets of this evil combination unto the sons of Adam. This is how Naamah came to dwell among the sons of Adam, and she grew up before the Lord in righteousness, and none was known for her tender care toward the sick and the unfortunate. And then it says, nevertheless, she had not husband because she was of the forbidden race. And I just see this is in Enoch. They're called the sons of precation. There's a word, prefation. Jackson, if you were still there, you could tell me what it was, which is really a cursed race. So anyways.
What? Perdition?
What is it?
Perdition.
No, it's not perdition. It's something, it's perfectation or something like that. But, okay. When the word of the Lord came to Noah, saying, take unto thyself Naamah, the daughter of Lamech, who dwelleth here in the city of thy fathers, for she has been faithful to my gospel, wherefore I shall preserve through her the seed of Cain through the flood. And then you have Noah went in unto his father Methuselah. And this is now, we can see the spelling is just a little bit, this is now Methuselah of the righteous seed line. And so, and he was said, Noah, don't fear to take her to wife, for this is of the Lord. And it says, for in so doing, he will be blessed, for through him will come all nations. So, so then he sent the flood, and he said, behold, I have established thy seed before me forever, and I will spread them abroad over the earth. And thy seed shall not cease as long as the earth shall stand, but through thee and thy priesthood, which will preserve in thy seed, shall all nations be blessed. So we're up to the flood. Let me see now. Again, so I think that's all. I don't see anything out of order in all that. I've read a lot of that stories, all of that in other pseudographics, other apocryphal texts. So, then I want to read for 14:1 here. When Lamech returned this word to his son, Noah rejoiced and praised the Lord, saying, I give thanks unto thee, for thou hast been unto me a strong wall against all that would seek my destruction. And he said, yea, I will walk in the way of the ancients, in the paths which thou hast appointed will I spend my days, for thou art my shield and my deliverer, in thee will I trust all the days of my life. Thus did Noah take to wife Naamah, the daughter of Zillah, the wife of Lamech of the seed of Cain. And she bore him a son whom he named Ham. And thus was the curse preserved in the land through the great flood. And see, to me, that makes perfect sense, because a lot of these other characters I've read, but it's been very hard to piece it together. But in here, it just says it plainly. There's no, if this is an accurate writing, an accurate telling, then we have this here. So this is how Ham, who had a different mother, same father, different mother than the other two boys, because it goes on to say, but when the patience of God ended and the time of repentance was up, that and the father saved 8 souls only, and for Noah and his youngest wife Ada and his 3 sons Shem, Japheth, and Ham and their wives. Okay, so then it goes on to hear more about the flood. What was I going to say? But there was something. Did I pass in here? It talked about how Japheth and Shem had the same mother, but we see here very clearly that Ham had a Canaanite mother, which makes total sense then. Also, why Ham went in and defiled in the tents of his, how would that go? The tents of his father, lifted the skirts of his father, whatever, however, I forget exactly what that word is, how would that phrase it. Because in my opinion, he was trying to double up on his Canaanite seed line there. But, and he definitely, Ham chose to follow his Canaanite heritage. And that would explain why he was so different from the other boys. And that would also explain his heritage, because these people all knew each other. They knew who each other's story was and their storyline and what the Lord was doing, all the stuff. It wasn't a big secret. Thus did Noah take to wife Naamah, and she bore him. Okay, so then on to 16. Let's see what is in here. But this is okay. This is to me very apocryphal. I won't go into it. But when Ham, the son of Noah, entered the tent, he saw his father sleeping naked upon his bed with the sacred garments which had been given to Adam in the Garden of Eden. And I'll tell you what, that has bugged me for years. If anybody ever really unpacks the sacred garments, would they tell me, please? That's just like, Ham knew that his prosperity could not bear the priesthood because of the curse of Cain, which was upon them, and knowing there was great power in the sacred garments, he stole them from his father Noah and hurried to his tents. That's in the Apocrypha.
Isn't that just like, again, Mormonism with the sacred underwear and stuff? Sure.
What'd you say?
And Mormonism has the same thing.
Yes, but so do all the other, so does the Apocryphas.
Sacred underpants?
What did you say, underpants?
Sacred garments.
It's all, but that's all over all the Apocryphas. There's nothing to do with Mormons.
I've only been Mormon, but
well, I don't.
Sacred garments is like being spirit of holiness or something on a person. But you know better than I would on that.
I don't know. I have no idea, but I don't know that this is particularly Mormon. I know that I have read all of this in all of the Apocryphas that are in the
oh, well, what I'm saying
has nothing to do with Mormonism.
Governor says he's saying that Mormons actively have these now as we speak. Garments with signs and such on them. That's all.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not criticizing anything. I just wonder if we shouldn't start using them. The Essenes had sacred garments, linen, so forth. Would you wear sacred underwear if you had?
No, I don't think this has anything to do with. You are a piece of work.
I'm not trying to mess you up. I just saw that, and it just rang a bell with me. That's all.
Wait, is that in the chat? I gotta go. Where's the chat? I lost chat.
Okay, I'm moving on.
Anyways, well, I'm only got two more things. I wanted to get to chapter 19. Almost there. Well, it says, before the death of Ham, the sacred garments were given secretly by him to his son Cush. This is in Enoch. This is in, I have read about these garments in, I have a whole folder of this, and I could go and find out all the text that this is in. But I don't know what it is. But anyway, so Ham's wife was named Zeptah, and she was also the seed of Cain, and they had a daughter named Zeptah. How original. So in that time, this daughter, after the death of Ham, led a body of his people westward until they reached a body of water in the land of Zeptah, which is in Egypt. So this talks, again, it settles that Ham settled in Egypt, where the waters receded off the land and they spread out and built cities and temples. So, and then we know this is a lot of this information actually is also in the book of Jasher. So Nimrod was, Cush kept the garments hidden till his old age. He gave them to Nimrod. That's in the book of Jasher. And when Nimrod was 20 years of age, he put the garments on and derived great strength and power from them. Moreover, Nimrod was instructed in all the secrets of the evil combination by his father Cain. So this is it. For Cain had not perished in the flood. Okay? Now, another thing that is interesting but getting into the back, oh my gosh, Jackson, do you ever study the Hollow Earth? This whole concept, the different dimensions, with all the 7 shells, the different levels. Okay, so why couldn't Cain had gone quote unquote underground? They're trying to do that today.
There's no reason why he couldn't.
So a lot of these people probably did survive, just like they're trying to today, underground.
Sure.
Okay.
I believe that there are plenty of survivors. In fact, the Bible makes it clear that there were.
Right. So we have Nimrod spread his dominion over all mankind, save those in the city of Shalom. Okay, now this I want to end on this Melchizedek thing. So that's all Nimrod doing his thing with Ham and, them beefing up the Olympians. That's okay. So we have here that Shem ruled in the city of Shalom and was called Melchizedek for he reigned as king under his father Noah and was a priest of the Most High Yahweh, or Most High Elohim. After the departure of Ham from the presence of his father, Noah, Shem, and Japheth dwelt together in peace under the benign rule of Noah. But in time, conflict arose among them, and Noah led the seed of Shem to a new land, which the Lord showed him, where they built a city which they called Shalom, the city of peace. And do you think that could be Jerusalem? So, because we have to, where did the city of Shalom, he was Melchizedek, king of Salem. So is Salem the city of Shalom, the city of peace, wherever these guys went?
The Salem part has another interpretation, and I can't remember. I just taught it a couple months ago. It could be Shalom. It could be another one as far as Jerusalem. And before it was called Jerusalem, it was Yebus, and before that it was something very much like Shalom, but it wasn't Shinar or something that was the name of a pagan deity of the
a Jebusite.
Jebusites, yeah.
Jebusite. But my question here, all we have is the city of peace. Do you think that could have been Jerusalem?
Well, sure. Or I'm thinking, what was the city of peace? It wouldn't have been Jerusalem at that time.
No, it wouldn't have been called that, but are we geographically talking about the same?
Shiloh. Would it have been Shiloh?
Could it have been Shiloh? That's interesting.
Really? Or there's another one, Jeshurun?
Right.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. So Noah invested some Shem with authority to reign as Prince of Peace, and Noah devoted his days to instructing his people after the order of the ancients. So do you think, because this gets into, I think it said it before, the firstborn. This is way before the Levitical priesthood and all that. And there was always this concept of the firstborn. So the firstborn, whoever was picked to be the firstborn of the generation, received all the spiritual blessings and the priesthood. And they were, the priest and king of that generation of, quote unquote, the order of the ancients. And I've read that concept in a lot of texts. And so they established the order of heaven. Let me see, what chapter is this? 18. 19, they established, the order of heaven among them and sought after the city of Enoch, and the Lord came among them and ministered to them, and those who sought for the gain of this world went out from among them, for they held all things common after the order of Enoch, and no man had above his neighbor. Now, that sounds really a scene to me, right? So, and it talks about those, among those who went forth from the city of Shalom with Peleg, who traveled to the northwest. He established a city after the order of his father, and it gives a little more information. And his people sought after the heavenly order and obtained it, for they were caught up like the city of Enoch. So there does seem to be a lot of dimensional interaction here, shall we say. So, but one of them, Sarah, the son of Ru, the son of Peleg, followed not after the way of his fathers, for he sought after gain for himself, and he ended up journeying over to the land of Shinar and became confederate with Nimrod. So, and then under the direction of Nimrod, Sarah and his companions entered into the secret combination and became men of power and wealth in Nimrod kingdoms. I mean, this is how they function today, these one percenters. There's nothing different. And then in the land of Shinar, Serag begat Nahor. Nahor begat Terah, my father. And Terah became great in the eyes of Nimrod. And then it goes into the whole story then of Abraham and a lot of this that we know. So, so actually, and then there's just really a couple more chapters of here. But there's a lot of the same information, how Abraham was at his birth. But I'll save that for Friday night because there's a lot of the stuff that's about Abraham I've read in a lot of the apocryphas and stuff. So anyways, I just think there's a lot of interesting information here. But Abraham, it does talk about how he goes down to Egypt and there's a lot of information. And I'm thinking if he started a whole revival and turned that whole country of Egypt, the righteous remnant down there, into revival and believers, why couldn't they have left a remnant, and then you can have in time an Akhenaten? How many years would it be from Abraham in Egypt to the time of Joseph?
Well, I figured that time of Joseph was 1350. Abraham's about 1600 or 1650. So we've got 300 years.
That's not that long.
No, it isn't.
So that could easily, okay, so I didn't read any of these, okay, I'm going to send a link now. So I will do the link. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or wanted to.
I sent them a link already. I sent a link already.
Oh, you sent, okay, and then there's, okay, and then I just want to send the link from this other one, because there's a couple other actually texts in this website's pretty interesting. They got some good stuff on Atlantis in here. That's the other one. Okay? Done. And okay. There you go. So I was gonna, like I said, Fred, just to flesh out the last of a little bit more about Abraham, and it gets into the death of Shem and a little more information on the priesthood and the order of the ancients. So
nice job. Thank you.
Well, I just think it's interesting.
Yes.
Does anybody have any comments?
There's one. She says the
I
second.
think Joshua is spurious. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, it's spurious, but that doesn't mean it's not good. It comes from the Middle Ages. It's not an ancient book, but it's one.
Okay, what does spurious mean to you? What does?
So, well, if it purports to be an ancient book and it's not, that would be spurious. There's so many in the book of Yashar. There are so many contradictions to the books that are confirmed ancient, like Jubilees. But I think Yashar that we have is right up there with the Book of Mormon in being extremely entertaining and filling in the blanks about some of these patriarchs and so forth. I like it a lot. And it's not to say it's not true or it's not real any more than the text we're looking at now.
Well, okay, so this is my question just on text, because I mean, I know you read text for historical narrative that you can nail down.
That doesn't mean I didn't read them for devotional for years and years. I did, but.
Well, and not saying devotion, but the flip side would be reading a text or reading text for content. Mm-hmm. And is it preserving accurate storyline, accurate symbology, and accurate theology.
Well, I would say that Yashar, for instance, is just as accurate as Jubilees, even though they come from 1,500 years or so different. I mean, there's no way to tell what's accurate or not. We have to use our noggins and the Holy Spirit to do that. So I guess when I say spurious, I don't mean worthless or condemned or full of false doctrine. I just mean that it's supposedly not on par with the more ancient books, but I need to change my opinion on that, really, and judge them for what's in them.
Well, this is, okay, so what, this is, I'm just really trying, I wanted to just finally establish this projection. So a spurious text doesn't mean it doesn't have value or it doesn't have.
No, let me look the definition up.
All right.
Not being what it purports to be. Well, all our pseudepigraphical literature look at would be all spurious.
But do you think it's a modern, like a pseudographic? We're saying that they're, from my understanding now, is it was a completely legitimate form of writing. So that
do you think that Abraham wrote that? I say no, it's spurious. It can't be from Abraham, but nevertheless, that doesn't mean it doesn't have huge amounts of value, whether it's spurious or not.
Okay, so like the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs.
Yeah, that would be, it's not what it purports to be. If we're talking about first person writing, Levi writes one, Manasseh writes one. These guys didn't write these things. These are interpretive. They came far later than them, but they're good interpretation. They might be spurious in the sense of not being what they purport to be, but that doesn't mean that, you know, if we write some personification story, it doesn't mean it's bad or wrong, especially if we come right out and say, hey, I'm writing this in the spirit of Abraham. And I think that's what they're trying to do when they use the names of past patriarchs, so forth. I think they're trying to write in the spirit. And I think if they're just trying to be fake and mislead people, that comes out in the text, don't you?
Well, this is what I mean. So sometimes, yes, it'll come out. But like what I'm just saying with the writing, I don't see anything. I don't get any like crazy.
No.
So.
Yeah, but that's not what the word is all about. The word just not being what it purports to be, false or fake. And it is, and that's why we call it pseudepigrapha.
Okay.
It means false writing.
But see, to me, that whole language should change because that immediately puts a negative spin on it, like they were doing something wrong. I don't think they were doing anything wrong in the way that they were trying to record their traditions, their scribal understanding.
Let's look at the other side of the story. You take a text like the Gospel of the Holy 12, for instance, or the Essene Gospel of Peace. I would consider those extremely spurious to the point of being worthless documents because they're taking something that's already been written and they're adding something to it that doesn't have any real evidence of ever having been said. They're putting words in the mouth of the Savior that, and then they are passing it off as either some dead people told me this, or I found these texts somewhere. Of course, they're not in existence anymore. And we can't have them. We can't have them because they're not in existence, but I'm going to keep writing. You know, these are channeled documents. You read that, and you know that enemas have nothing to do with salvation. This writing here, this writings of Abraham, whoever wrote it, whenever, it's edifying. It brings things in that we never thought of before, or it puts evidence in what we're trying to find. And look, it might be spurious. It certainly is. But that doesn't mean that it's not worthwhile or that it's not authentic or anything else. People in those days, they wrote in the names of these patriarchs as though they were in the spirit of the patriarchs. And at the time, nobody thought anything more of it than that.
Right. So that's why to me it's very misleading to
Yeah, we need a new vocabulary.
we need a new vocabulary because
Yeah.
it's very especially new people coming into this. It's
Yeah,
very off-putting.
I'm still using the vocabulary of the university, of course. That's what I was taught, and I read university papers still what little bit I can read anymore, and that's the language they use. And I don't often think that when I turn around and use the same language with people that haven't been there for that they might be thinking quite differently about what these words mean. Yeah,
Totally. Totally. It throws newbies totally off.
thank you. Let's work on that.
You work on.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm done.
All right.
Hi, Allison. Hi, Allison. Hey, are you going to join our women's group again? Should we invite all the men, or should we just? Did you like that, Jackson?
Only if there are refreshments.
Well.
Yeah, I liked it, but I had to leave because I'm nauseous. I didn't leave because I just wanted to check in and see what was going on, and then I enjoyed the little bit I did. Then I ran for the bathroom.
Oh dear.
That's the way it is these days. I appreciate your prayers, though. I know people here are praying for me, and I'll get over this soon enough. I'll just get back to the same old nasty, spurious guy that I have been.
All right. Well, and
You guys.
we'll pray for everybody. Pray for my son too. I told you he has to get.
Definitely. Can I put that out? Can I let people know about that?
Sure. He's supposed to have a surgery December 22nd. That's going to make our holiday interesting.
Well, you'll have to do Hanukkah next year or something.
Yes, there you go.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you all for coming. Bless you. See you Friday.